Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a Q&A video, you guys. I had asked like a couple weeks ago, like if y'all had any questions, y'all could click on the link and send in any spiritual question that y'all had and I would answer them. So today that's what we'll be talking about, is just the questions that y'all sent in. If you didn't get a chance to send in any question, that's okay too. I do plan on doing another video in the future, but I'll let y'all know when the time comes. So yeah, let's just get right into it. I think it's about 8 or 9 questions last time I checked. So yeah, let's just get into it. I don't want this video to be too long, but you never know. So yeah, the first question is there anything you wish you knew when starting your journey? So that's a really good question, and honestly y'all, I'm gonna say no. Okay, so the reason I'm gonna say no is because I feel like with this, it was best for me. Like, knowing who I am, it was best for me to kind of go into this blindly, because if I knew certain things before starting, I feel like I would have restricted myself, just because me getting to my spiritual journey, it was very chaotic. It's a chaotic journey. Like, I don't think people realize just how chaotic it can be, because there's just so many different changes that happen. And if you're a person like me that's not really good with change and can't really handle change, it was very difficult at times, right? So I feel like it was best for me to go in blindly, and also because that's just kind of like my learning style. Like, I learn best through experiences rather than someone saying X, Y, and Z. So it was just best for me that way. Of course, there are things that I look back in retrospect where I'm just like, oh, yeah, I could have did certain things better, or you know, I hold myself accountable and I realized some of the mistakes and choices that I made that wasn't right. But yeah, I feel like the only reason I came to that conclusion was because I actually experienced it rather than someone telling me. But if you were asking that question in hopes of like, okay, what advice you got for me, because I'm finna get deeper into my spiritual journey and you just want advice, the best advice that I can give you is to know how to properly ground yourself, right? There's things that happen internally as you go deeper into your journey it's really hard to explain, and unless you're going through it, it can be really hard to explain. But the best way I can put it is that it's like a lot of different changes that are happening internally. Your perspective is changing, your awareness is changing, and that can cause you to be overwhelmed and your nervous system to be out of whack, because it's like there's just so many different changes to where you're not going to feel comfortable. You may not feel comfortable, right? And so it's best to learn how to actually ground yourself, just doing things that kind of keep you in reality, keep you from being overwhelmed, and just kind of make you feel at ease, doing things that make you happy. And I will also say to that, to look at your astrology chart and look and see what sign your north node is in, because the sign your north node is in can give you kind of like insight to what's going to help you spiritually grow and what's going to really keep you grounded, right? So like, say for example, your north node was in Virgo. Doing things like working out, eating healthy, cleaning, having like a schedule of day to day. Okay, when I wake up, this is what I'm going to do, and then at this time, this is what I'm going to do. You know, having like some type of structure, those things are definitely going to keep you grounded and make you feel more at ease. So it's just a matter of knowing what keeps you grounded, and also kind of looking at your chart, looking at the north node to see what also can help with allowing you to be grounded. So the second question is do you have any spiritual gifts? If so, what are they? So I do have different spiritual gifts, and honestly I would say, because one of my gifts is mediumship, I don't know if there's any correlation, but a lot of my senses are pretty much open at this point. But I don't mind sharing them. Of course, different gifts, they kind of grew over time or came over time, right? So I don't mind sharing that. So my first gift being mediumship, that gift came when around 2016, right? I just remember going through a lot that year, and I remember having a dream where my grandmother on my paternal side came and visited me. And a lot of times for some people, mediumship, it starts out in their dreams and then they end up being able to do it in their waking life. So for me, it started off in my dreams. I was going through a lot during that time, and she just came in and we literally like spent time together, and she talked to me, and then that was it. That was the dream. And then I don't think it was until like 2021 that I actually had my first waking experience where I was awake and I was getting visions from a different spirit. So it kind of progressed over time. Another one that I have is clairvoyance / seer. Now, I know that's not the same thing. They're not interchangeable, but they're kind of in the same realm of like the sight. So like with my clairvoyance, that's more so about me just being able to see like different shapes and symbols and signs and things that are kind of like exact, like numbers, things like that. And then with my seer ability, that is actually my strongest ability, and it's probably my strongest because I've been having that ability since I was little. So that's just the ability to be able to see the past, future, present, have premonitions and waking visions, things like that. When I was a child, I just remember experiencing a lot of deja vu with that gift, a lot of deja vu. Like I would literally see things and then it happened right after. So a lot of deja vu as a child. That air then came on. I don't know if y'all can hear it, but another one is clairsentience. So that is just clear feeling, right? So being able to feel or being able to have like a gut feeling about things, being able to feel the energy in a room or feel how people are feeling without them actually telling you. And that gift is one of those things where I feel like I've had since I was a child. Just me growing up, I would say the environment that I lived in caused me to be very hyper vigilant, right? I was very hyper vigilant as a child. I was very aware, always trying to pick up on cues, just for my own nervous system, right? So it allowed me to be more intuitive about what's going on around me. And it just didn't just stop there. I will say like it kind of progressed over time to where like if I'm having a vision, I can feel what it is that I'm seeing, right? So for example, a couple months ago, I was doing mediumship with my actual grandmother, and she showed me a picture of like nails, like the nails that you like build stuff with, and I could literally feel the nails pricking my fingers, right? But this is all mentally. Like physically the nails aren't there, but spiritually I can feel the pricking of the nails, and it actually hurted. So you know, it's much more nuance to it. Like it's not just about feeling the energy in the room and having these gut feelings, but also being able to like feel certain things that you see as well. Another one is clairaudience. So that is just clear hearing, being able to hear things spiritually. That gift, it was one of those gifts that progressed over time. And it's so crazy because I can remember myself being at the bus stop as a little child in elementary and hearing like ringing in my ears. My ears would ring a lot as a child. Now I just remember one moment, I don't know why, I can just remember right now just me being at the bus stop and hearing this long ringing in my ears, and it's like really cold outside. But that's how it kind of started, with just ringing in my ears, and then it progressed over time. So it wasn't until I got to college that I actually could hear like actual voices. And so it started out light with me just hearing my name, and then it kind of progressed over time even with that. And I just realized whenever I can get really relaxed, or whenever like I'm like doing like mediumship with my own team, that is when I can also like hear voices and stuff too. But I'm in a very relaxed state, and it's not just about hearing voices, whether it's internally or externally, but also like just kind of getting messages through like music and things like that. Just different ways of hearing. Yeah. So that's how I progress over time. Progress from just hearing ringing to hearing music, and then hearing like actual voices. And one of the last ones, I think that's pretty much it, is claircognizant. So that is just basically clear knowing. So that is just the ability to be able to know information, and you have no physical proof of how you know it. You just know it. I can't explain how I know certain things certain times. All I can tell you is it's just a download that happens, and I instantly know information that nobody has told me. The first time I ever experienced that was around like 2020, 2021. Around that time, I just so happened to be in a very abusive and controlling relationship. I was with someone where like they had the location where I was at. They had my location on their phone. They had the password to my social media. They were so controlling to the point where like if we were having a conversation, I couldn't ask questions in the conversation. Like if they were talking, I could only respond when like they asked me a question, or they would like flip and be crazy. Or like if we're talking and they sense like something is off with my tone, even if it wasn't, they would explode, right? So they were very controlling. So I say all that to say, people that are abusive and controlling, something they like to do is like breadcrumb you and then kind of like break up with you at times as a controlling tactic. So everything was fine. Literally, I just woke up one day, I started crying, like boohoo crying, and I just knew like this person was gonna break up with me. Mind you, everything was cool, but I just knew that day that they were gonna break up with me. And a couple hours after I had experienced all that and knew that, they actually ended up breaking up with me like a couple hours after that. So yeah, that was kind of crazy, but I had experienced that for the first time, just getting like an instant download. And y'all, that was my last time, the last time of me being with that person. I never went back after that breakup. But that was just something I experienced. So ever since then, I just know things, and I can't tell you how I know the things, but it just comes to me. It's like a download, and I just instantly know it. I know it's kind of weird to explain, but if you have it, then you know. So another question that I have is, can you suggest any good books for my spiritual journey? So of course I can suggest a good book. There's so many different books, but it pertains to like different categories. But like just in general, if I could suggest any book, it would have to be Journey of the Souls by Dr. Michael Newton. He was a psychologist, and he specialized in like hypnotherapy when he was alive. It's a really good book. Like I've read the book so many times, and I have bought the book for other people. Like I've bought that book at least 3 times for 3 different people, because I just love the book and I want other people to love it too and read it. So it's a really good book. It really helps you get answers when it comes to like reincarnation and what happens when people die, and life lessons, and why people experience certain things, and it just really gives you a deeper understanding of life. So like if you're into reincarnation, if you're into wanting to understand like your spiritual journey more, and why things just happen the way it happens, and like how we pick our lives, and like it's just a really good book. Like I don't want to give away too much, but if I could suggest any book, it would be that book. So the next question is, how can I create my own oils or cleansing baths? So the best way to get better at creating oils or knowing how to create cleansing baths is to study different herbs, right? So get you a book, go online, and just research different herbs and their intentions when you want a certain intention, if that makes sense. So like if you're making an oil and you wanted to draw in money, or if you wanted to draw in good luck, or if you wanted to draw in protection, then you need to study, okay, what herbs bring about those type of intentions? Like, what herbs have those type of intentions, so where I can create what I need to bring in a certain type of energy into my life, right? So you're gonna have to study the herbs, write down their meanings, right? To allow it to happen, right? So you want to research, like, okay, this is the herbs. Is it masculine energy, feminine energy? Is it like a water element? Is it an air element? You know, to see how it balances. So you just want to do your research and just in studying herbs, and then creating your own little recipe, right? For your oils. Like, okay, I'm gonna make protection oil. These are protective herbs, and this is what I'm going to put in it. And research is just one part, but just being able to speak over the herbs is another part. So when you have your herbs and you have them with you, you want to speak over the herbs and thank it for its energy. And as you're thanking it, you're just thanking it for the intentions that it's bringing. So you can thank it for, like, oh, thank you for bringing in protective energy. Thank you for uncrossing me. Thank you for removing any negative energy that has been put on me or I have walked into. You know, you want to thank it for what it's doing, and then after you thank it, then you continue on making the oil, or you continue on making the cleansing bath. So it's just a matter of just doing your own research and getting familiar with the herbs and putting that power into the herbs, right? Yeah, it's really not that hard, but that's pretty much how you do it. So and the more that you work with herbs, the more you will just memorize what it does and its intentions and things like that. The next question is, can the ancestor altar go in your bedroom? So whether or not the ancestor altar can go in your bedroom is kind of subjective, and it's subjective upon how you feel and also how your ancestors feel, right? So I can relate in terms of actually having it in my bedroom at one point, right? Like, ideally, you would want your ancestors' altar not in your bedroom. And I actually have a video, I think it's called how to connect to the ancestors or something. I'm sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's a good video to go and review back to. But just in terms of that, I think it's more so about you actually exploring why you actually can't have it out in the open in the living room. Like, what is actually the reason, right? You didn't really give me a reason, so I'm kind of assuming. I know just for me and my situation, when I did have it in my bedroom, it was in college. It was like my last 2 years in college. So at that time, I had lived with a friend, and we were living together, right? And, you know, she had her different beliefs, I had my different beliefs, but we had mutual respect for each other. But I also didn't feel comfortable putting it out in the living room where we share like that common space, because like I was just kind of considerate of the fact, like, okay, I am living with someone, and I feel like the common area shouldn't really be personalized. That's just my belief. I don't think the common area that we share should be personalized. I feel like more of my personality and who I was and all of that can be shown through my actual bedroom. Another reason was because even though like that's my friend, right? We still have our own individual friends, right? So like if I brought someone over, like I can kind of police that, right? Like I can tell them, oh, I see them looking at the altar. Yeah, you can look, but you know, just try not to touch anything. Don't put anything on there, right? Like I can tell my company that, right? And I'm also a person, I'm very particular, especially with where I'm living. I'm very, very particular, right? So to avoid any type of conflict or anything like that, I just felt like it was best to put it in my room, because again, I know that she wouldn't do anything to my altar, but I can't trust whoever she's bringing to not do anything to the altar, or to not be disrespectful, or to not put anything on it, right? And I'm not always gonna be here, And if I am here, I'm still not gonna sit around and police who she brings over, right? So it's just a matter of, okay, to make things easier, and because I'm just so particular, and little things like that would upset me if someone was to, you know, move anything around or touch it or put this stuff on it. It's just best for me to put it in my bedroom, right? And when I put it in my bedroom, my ancestors, they didn't have an issue with that, right? They let me know they didn't have an issue with that. And if they did have an issue with that, they would let me know, and they pretty much would let you know. It's just in terms of just being mindful of the fact that altars, they are portals, and so be mindful of the energy that is happening within your room. And because, you know, sometimes we can be emotional and things like that. Just be mindful, like, okay, whatever emotions or energy that's going on in this room, I still have a portal in my room, right? So you just have to make sure your room is really cleansed and you keep the altar cleansed. So yeah, if that's not the reason, as far as like having roommates, if it's because you don't necessarily want people to see it, you know, that's a different issue that you should explore. I feel like if you're struggling to live in your spiritual truth, then that is something that you're going to have to come to terms with, because eventually, like, I'm just assuming, right, eventually spirit will get onto you about not living in your spiritual truth, and it will force you to live in your spiritual truth. So if that's something you're struggling with, you may want to work through that. If that's the reason why, like, oh, you don't want it out in the open. Like, again, you didn't really, you know, tell me why you don't want it out in the open, but definitely living your spiritual truth. I can't think of any reason why you would want to not want it out in the open. I know space could be an issue, so if space is an issue, I understand. But I will also say, like, if you just feel like, okay, the ancestors said I can't put it in the bedroom, just know that that's fine. Like, you don't need an ancestor altar to venerate your ancestors. Everything you can do at an ancestor's altar, you can literally do anywhere, right? So also keep that in mind if you figure out, like, you know what, I don't want this in my bedroom. You know, you can still venerate your ancestors without an actual altar. The next one is, how can I communicate with my ancestors? So really just initiating a conversation. I don't think people realize how thin that veil is. Like, spirits are all around us, right? Once you have that ability to see and sense and hear spirits, you realize that spirits are literally all around us. So, like, all you gotta do is initiate it. Like, all you gotta do is call on your ancestors that have your best interests and just speak to them and just say what you have to say. And even if you can't hear them, even if you can't necessarily feel their energy or anything, they are right there. So they're listening. So it's just more of initiating a conversation and just talking to them. You know, just taking time out of your day, maybe at the end of the day, just telling them how your day went, telling them things you want them to know about you, and even be like, oh, can you give me a sign that you're listening? If give me a sign through this. Like, you may be like, oh, if you're listening, can you show me this, or can you show me that while I'm out and about? And they'll give you that sign. And the more that you communicate, the stronger the relationship will get, and the more they will reveal themselves to you. So it's just a matter of not necessarily overthinking it and just kind of initiating a conversation. And also, like, investigating too, like learning the history of your ancestors, learning where they come from, learning through other family members of like what they liked in life, how were they, things they disliked. That way, like, when you're actually venerating them, you can talk about certain things, or you can play certain music, or you can give them certain foods, right? So it's just a matter of learning your ancestors, and over time, the more that you communicate with your ancestors, they will reveal themselves to you. The next question is, what is your favorite herb to use? So my favorite herbs to use, I love angelica root and I love hyssop. Those are my two favorite herbs that I love using, and I use them primarily in my cleansing. Yeah, you guys, that is pretty much it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And again, if you did not get to be a part of this Q&A, you know, we'll ask some questions. I'll let y'all know when I'm doing another one. So thank you guys, and I'll talk to you guys later.